Hello, Night Nation. I'm Trey Stroko, joined by Adam Eaton. Welcome in to Sons of UCF Live. Adam, we talk all the time, but I feel like I haven't seen you in a while again.
It's been a few minutes. Yeah, it's been a few minutes, and there's a lot going on tonight. So glad you're with us. We have some football coverage. We have some stuff happening, in and around the world of sports. And our good friend Nick Williams, Trace, is standing by at the John as well with a baseball update. So a ton of stuff. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah, it's a final weekend series at home for UCF baseball. They're on the outside looking in to getting into next week's Big 12 championship in Texas. And they led with just one out to go, but the Knights dropped this one to Baylor. Let's go to John Juliano Park, and we catch up with Nick Williams. Nick, the Knights really needed this one.
Yeah, they definitely needed this one, and this game was a roller coaster of emotions for the Knights, but they just weren't able to pull it off. In the top of the ninth, there was 3 runs scored by the Baylor Bears, all of them coming off sacrifice, either pop flies or ground outs, and the Knights just couldn't get it done in the bottom ninth at all, and this is one they're going to want back.
Yeah, the defense seemed to let UCF down a couple of times in this one.
Yes, for sure. Dylan King had a great game offensively, had 2 RBI doubles. He was responsible for 2 out of the 4 errors from the Knights tonight, so it just wasn't an all-around great game. They had a good lead going into the ninth, 4-2, and they let it slip away.
Yeah, Knights have to do a lot of scoreboard watching now. They really needed to sweep Baylor, but still in position to take 2 out of 3. Friday, senior night, recognizing the seniors, and then they conclude on Saturday. But they made things a little more difficult for themselves tonight.
Yes, they definitely did. It's going to also rely on BYU. We have to either match them or do better than them in their own series. So with this loss tonight, it makes things a lot harder for the Knights to get in the Big 12 tournament race.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear what head coach Rich Wallace says. We'll let you go to postgame. Nick Williams, live at John Juliano Park. Thanks for being with us on Suns Live.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. Go Knights. Charge on.
The enthusiasm of the Go Knights. Charge on.
Nick,
after you give up 3 in the ninth.
I feel bad. Poor kid. Thought he had a story, and all of a sudden the story changes. Poor kid. He'll be okay. He's a Knight fan. He'll figure it out. He'll learn after a while.
Yeah, he'll understand. So, as we come to you this Thursday, 15 weeks as at Mr. Matt Dolan until the start of the UCF football season, and fifth quarter UCF reminds us 105 days. Getting in on that under 100-day mark, do you feel things are a little bit closer?
I don't. No, I was doing the calendar.
We're in the dog days.
Yeah, I was doing the calendar earlier. I was like, are we not? No, we're not even like it. We're still not even there yet. Like maybe we get to June, mid-June, I'll start to get the itch. But right now it just feels like it's still so far away. Not a ton of stuff going around the campus either with football. So it's tough to stay connected to it. And it doesn't feel real just yet, Trace. But we're right around the corner, according to Matt Dolan and fifth quarter UCF.
I like their countdowns. You know that. I enjoy them counting down. Countdowns, bowl projections. I'm big on those as well. Those are.
Have you seen any bowl? I saw a Birmingham bowl.
The Birmingham bowl.
I did see that. Are you excited? Have you penciled that in on your calendar yet? Or do you want PTO that day? I don't know. I gotta check.
Well, we weren't on last week. I was out in Colorado. My nephew graduated University of Colorado at Boulder. How about this? Your daughter graduating Saturday. Congratulations to Addison. But one ceremony, right? In high school? One, not 2. They had 2.
Just one.
The Thursday morning ceremony, 8:30 start, 42 degrees outside in the football stadium. 10,000 grads, 40,000 people in attendance for that one. No one did the wave. And then he graduated from the business school. Friday night in the basketball arena, that was a much quicker ceremony and indoors, but 2 graduations for the low price of 1.
I only have one to attend on Saturday. It's an early morning one. We got to line up. It's, not assigned seating, all this stuff. And, 350, 400 kids got to file in here. I'm not looking forward to it. Although very happy for my daughter. Not looking forward to, because there's only one person you're there for. When that's over, and my last name's with E, I still got the rest of the alphabet to sit through. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Have you done anything? Have you made a sign with her picture, a face?
No fatheads just yet. I still got time, though. I still got some time. We'll see if we do some cheering. We'll get a sign working or something, but it should be a fun weekend.
Does your son know about this, that he's going to be trapped for hours?
Aware, displeased, very displeased at this tournament. It is offered on live stream, and he was like, "I'll just catch it on TV," and we were like, "No, buddy, you got to go support your sister."
Yeah.
He was like, "No, I'll just do the live stream," and we're like, "No, you got to." Go. He's still angling for the live stream.
Do you have confidence in him to pay attention when they get to the E's and then do
I think so, because I think there's going to be a lot of nudging and stand up, your sister's coming.
No. I mean, if he was watching the stream.
No. No. I actually don't even think the stream would be on his TV if he was watching it at home.
Congratulations to Addison. We had Nick Williams on just a moment ago from John Yuliano Park. He, Andrew Cherico, Matt Turner, out at the Varsity Knights golf tournament last week. You and I not able to be there, and we found just capable fill-ins who were able to participate in that.
Yeah, I love this tournament, Trace. I was disappointed when you and I couldn't make it this year due to some other work commitments, but just a great time to see a lot of legends of UCF, and tip of the cap to Carlos McCants and his staff for putting this together and getting so many former UCF alums to come out and share their experiences. And you get so many different eras. This clip I'm going to play for you right now, you got multiple different eras, and I love there's a fun story smack dab in the middle here from Sean Beckton Sr., who, as a lot of people know, played at UCF, coached at UCF, left, and now has come back. But he still remembers fondly his time at UCF and some of the glory days here. So check out this package from Nick and Andrew on the Varsity Knights golf tournament.
Awesome to see. Like we spoke about it earlier, me and Kyle Israel talked about just like through the O'Leary era, from Dante to Kyle to myself and all the guys that were a part of those teams with Coach O'Leary here, and then Coach Frost coming in and Coach Hypo and Coach Malzahn. It's just been a really cool, steady progress to watch and to continue to get bigger and bigger. And the heights that Mackenzie and Coach Frost took it to the first time they were here, and that Hypo, continued to elevate. It's been awesome, and I'm excited to see those guys back here now and continue.
Nice out pub right across the street. We used to get at least $5 hamburgers and fries.
Now, did the whole team go together to this? We're hearing a lot of Nice Out pubs.
It was on Wednesday nights they had a special, and then after the games we would always try to meet up and go over there just to have a quick bite. But we played in the Citrus Bowl, so it was hard sometimes getting out. But Nights Out Pub was one of our favorite spots. And then during the week, we had a Wednesday night club on campus called the Wild Pizza that the whole team used to go and hang out at. So
just the energy, the excitement, you hear out there, man. I mean, it's fun to just see everybody being around, having fun, and just being together. You know what I mean? And that's what we're all about: bringing everybody together and really knowing, putting this thing together. So, yes, sir.
The Wild Pizza.
Was
the Wild Pizza still on campus when you were?
No, Wild Pizza was gone, but I was there. I do know the Nights Out Pub very well, but Wild Pizza not pictured in my time there at UCF. But I love that Coach Beckton called Wild Pizza the club. That was the club that him and the team went to. I love that. I love that soundbite.
Wow, that tells you the change in eras, right? That was a very popular hangout, the Wild Pizza, back in that time.
I'll take your word for it. Yeah, way before my time. But it's always fun to hear some of these guys talk about what they experienced. And if you catch that interview, which is on our YouTube channel now, Coach Beckton talks about how the university's changed. He drives around campus now and sees the difference. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, good turnout for that. A lot of enthusiasm. We talked a little bit about the reaction from Dante Culpepper, others to Scott Frost's return. You mentioned the clips that we have posted as well as the YouTube video. A lot of enthusiasm surrounds Scott Frost.
Yeah, it's good to see, Trace. I mean, I would say, we don't know what this team is going to be yet. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about what a lot of quote unquote experts think. But I will tell you, from the videos I saw, vibes are high. People are really excited to have Coach Frost back, and I think they're really excited that a lot of the UCF alums are back. Mackenzie Milton, Jordan Johnson, Sean Beckton. Right? I think there's a family appeal to this. A lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm. I think the vibes are high. Now, none of that matters once you put the ball down on the first, I guess, Thursday of the season this year. But I do love the positivity, the vibes. Now, I understand the cynic out there is going to say, what else are they going to say? But I do think there's legitimate good vibe, good feelings about Coach Frost coming back and what they hope that he can bring back to this UCF team. So if they're excited, I'm excited too.
Yeah, and a good turnout for this one. Right, record setter for the Varsity Knights in this golf tournament. Isn't that what you heard from Carlos?
Yeah, record-setting tournament. I think they have 500 plus people or something like that, or 500 people now joined the Varsity Knights, and this tournament was sold out. And again, it's always a who's who of Knight legends. From the first team in '79 to guys who graduated 2 or 3 years ago. It's always a good event too. And again, we don't get to see it a ton, Trace, but I think you and I know a little bit about it. But Carlos and that staff, Allie and Levy, do such a good job of putting these things together and keeping the Knights family connected. I think we all talk about making sure that those guys feel welcome back, and it's awesome to see when they all come together. Eras that didn't play together are mixing it up and joking around, having a good time, and it's always fun to see. But tip of the cap to Carlos, Allie, and Levy, and the rest of that staff for putting this together.
It's really just the natural evolution of the athletic program and the football program that you're seeing as many guys on staff, right? It might not have happened much earlier than this, just based on the nature of how little UCF has played in the grand scheme of things.
That's a fair point, right? Mathematically speaking, right? This probably couldn't have happened sooner, but I do think it pertains to Coach Frost and some of the folks on staff here trying to continue to build the culture. We hear a lot about culture of UCF, and what the culture means. A couple guys, Rashad Kazi, talked about this in the interview as well, very colorfully, I might add, about Coach Frost bringing the band back together, setting the culture back, kind of reframing where things were at. And, and I think it's great when a lot of the older guys can come back and also begin to be a part of that and can share a little bit about what it used to mean to play here, what it means to wear that helmet. Maybe that doesn't mean much at the end of the day, right? But sometimes in football and athletics, you have to win in the margins. And if the margins are that you set a culture, you set a foundation, and guys buy into it, maybe, just maybe, that's the thing you need to convert a third down or to get a stop on fourth down or, to make a long field goal, whatever that might be. Maybe, just maybe, that gives you a little extra oomph to get that one play that you need to get over the top.
You're also going to need a strong offensive line.
That would be helpful. That would be helpful. Yeah,
segue right there. You're going to need that, and I think questions remain about that position. As you look, and again, we all agree we really don't know what we're going to see in fall from this team. Of the offensive side of the ball, where would you rank offensive line in your confidence factor? Running backs, wide receivers / tight ends, quarterback play, offensive line. What's your confidence factor in that position group?
Maybe 4. They may be dead last to me, and here's why, Trace. We saw UCF was still very active in the transfer portal on the offensive line, which probably tells you that they don't feel great about either their ones or their twos, or maybe even both. So the fact that UCF was still very active, quarterback, you can say they were active, but they lose one, they gain one, we're back to square. The fact that the offensive line continued to go after guys like a Josh Raymond who commits to Florida State tells you that they probably thought they needed a little bit more on that O-line. Every other position, receiver, I think we're replacing some injuries, some guys who have left, but O-line feels like we're still continuing to try to stockpile some talent. Sean Clark talks about how he wants depth on the line. The fact that we thought we needed more there tells me somebody thinks we need more there. And if we need more there, that must mean we don't have enough.
That's how I didn't. I love that deep dive analysis there. Yep. Let's talk a little bit more about the offensive line. Let's turn now to this story from Andrew Cherico.
Andrew Cherico here for the Sons of UCF. There are still a few position groups that are pretty unknown on this UCF roster. The offensive line is a glaring question mark outside of 6'10" Paul Rubelt. After the second open practice, we had the opportunity to speak with offensive line coach Sean Clark and players, and it's a breath of fresh air as they are accepting the open competition for a starting role on this UCF O-line.
I think we were very honest when we came in the program, our first team meeting, our first position meeting, that we're going to play the best 5 guys. It didn't matter if you've been here 1 year or 6 years, whatever it may be, that everyone get their fair opportunity. I think that's our job as coaches, to go there and evaluate. Like I mentioned, we're going to grade every single rep throughout practice. And again, I think that's the beauty of it. They know they have a legitimate chance of playing this year, and they're taking the opportunity and running with it. So there are some guys stepping up. We wish they were further ahead than what they were. But we'll go on and see what happens after tonight's scrimmage and the next 3 practices.
Yeah. When I came in last year, it definitely felt like they kind of had their guys. So, this year when we had a new staff and new coaches come in, it was really awesome to see new opportunities to come in for me. And I'm really appreciative, and I think things are going really well right now. So,
it's a great battle. I love my boy Carter. We feed off each other. He'll come off the field, he'll tell me what he got, and then I'll be like, okay, Dad, this is what I got to do. And then sometimes if I get a funky look that he may not get, we just feed off each other. It's a great battle tonight. That's my boy.
My last season, man, I was just trying to play my best game. Like I said, it's a different kind of offense right now, which I love it. And my biggest thing is just being able to get my playing time and be there for my guys, man. It's not just about me. It's more about the whole team.
UCF has already seen plenty of transfers move on, like veterans Marcellus Marshall and Adrian Medley, or younger talent like Walt Claire Flynn or Chase Malamala. No player is certain to stay, as we'll start learning who the starting line may consist of as fall approaches. And until next time, I'm Andrew Cherico for the Sons of UCF.
The ones, it's the depth, Adam. That's what I'm most concerned about. I mean, football, it's a violent game. There's going to be injuries. Somebody's going to go down. I just don't know about the depth of this unit.
Yeah, somebody smarter than me can do the math, but I feel like over the last couple of seasons, we haven't had the same consistent starting five up front, right? There's been injuries, there's been guys who have to sit down for various reasons. So you're going to need 7 to 8 to 9 guys that I think you can count on that front line. And by the way, they also have to gel together, learn a new offense at the same time with a new quarterback, which isn't settled yet. And so I just think there's so many variables to the O-line that this is a group that, if you miss one block, you take one bad step, all of a sudden your running back's laying 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So this is such a win-lose, risk-reward type of position that if you're not dialed in, things can go bad in a hurry, or you need a quarterback or I guess a running back potentially who can really bail you out of that and make something out of nothing. We don't know what we have in quarterbacks at either. Sometimes a quarterback and O-line, they make each other great, right? You can mask a bad O-line maybe with a good quarterback and vice versa. I don't know that we know what we have at either of those two spots right now, and I think that's the more concerning thing.
We talked a little bit about this on Around the Kingdom, Eric Lopez and I, right? And we said, where would you have UCF if you didn't have them in at least the bottom 4? I mean, what would give you reason to put them much higher? CBS Sports is one of those that has UCF low, and it's Shehan Jarajaha.
No, stop with the H. No H at the end. Jaraja.
No, Jaraja.
Yeah, stop with the H.
Got an H on the end, but I want to pronounce it.
It's a silent H.
Yeah.
Don't pronounce it. Swallow the H.
Yeah, I was talking about the offense with many issues. The receiving corps boasts almost no proven production. Frost is an offensive whiz, but can he make anything useful out of this group? And that's where he's going to get tested, right? That's how he's going to have to earn that money in year one, is what can he get out of this group?
Look, you can't argue with some of these, analysts and folks out there in the media who are talking about UCF being in the, bottom half of the Big 12. I think I've seen 15, 16. It's really tough to argue that, right? Because we do not know what this team is. You and I are closer to this team than Shehan is, and we don't know what this team is. How do I expect Shehan Jaraja, who hasn't been to practices and hasn't talked to Scott Frost, to know what the team is at? So I don't think it's unfair to have this team in that 15, 16 range. And I think everything that the pundits are saying is relatively accurate. We don't know what this team is going to be yet. It's going to take a really big effort by this offensive staff to be able to figure it out. A lot of questions about Alex Grinch and what he can bring defensively from his previous stops at USC and Oklahoma. It's going to be a challenge, Trey. So you can't argue with it, but you'd also say to yourself, at some point in time, UCF has always been the underdog. Is this kind of the fuel that you need? Will they kind of put things together? If you need to go back, let's think, Trace. When is a team that's been picked last to win the Big 12 list? Oh yeah, last year when Arizona State was picked to be one of the bottom teams and ended up in the college football playoff. So it's not improbable. It's not impossible. Is the deck stacked against UCF? Maybe, but I think this is exactly where UCF probably deserves to be right now, because there's really nothing to go off of. But that does not mean that's what they're going to finish. But I can see the fairness of saying, I don't know what this team is right now. And if I don't know, I'm going to have to think that they're 14, 15, 16 from the ranking standpoint.
16 is where ESPN.com has them in their post-spring camp assessment. UCF has the lowest returning production levels, it reads, in the conference. Frost will start out with an offense that boasts literally no proven pieces. renovation might take a little while.
But that's a flawed stat, though, right? Lowest returning production. Yeah, absolutely, because all the returners left, right? But how do you account for the new guys coming in and what they brought from other schools, right? So that's a flawed metrics, right? Now, some of those guys haven't played, but if you're basically just saying, hey, they don't have the guys they had last year. Yeah, we didn't. We also went 4-8 with that production. So perhaps that wasn't the wrong thing to do. That being said, again, I can't argue with that, but I think lowest returning production is kind of a flawed stat. Do you remember the fun year? I know we're not allowed to compare basketball and football, so everybody, I apologize in advance. Remember the fun year when we had 99.7% of our offensive production returning in basketball? And
that turned out.
And I think we lost to the Cows in the NIT. Like, that doesn't always mean something. So let's let it play out. But I think if you're doing this on paper without a ton of information, a ton of analysis, and you're just looking at what you have, it's not implausible to look at this Knights team and say, who are these guys? And are they going to be any good? And can Frost coach these guys up? Those are all fair questions as we sit here in May, I try to analyze what the hell is going to happen in 6 months.
Let's talk about culture a little bit, right? That has been mentioned a lot. If you had a drinking game for that, you'd be lit up pretty quickly. It's something West Virginia head coach Rich Rodriguez said, with the influx and the change in players, that you're going to really need to build that culture. There's another factor, and you alluded to it earlier, that overused sports cliche, the chip on the shoulder, though. Maybe UCF needs to be back to being the little engine that could, the forgotten, the underdog. Maybe that's the right positioning for this year, and get away from all that. The future of college football resides in Orlando, and get back to having an edge.
Look, the romantic in me who thinks the movie Rudy might be real says, yeah, that'd be great, Trace, right? But listen, you also need talent to win games. You need talent, you need discipline, you need a lot of different things. So, yeah, I don't mind the chip on the shoulder. I don't mind guys coming in and have to prove who they are and maybe, banding together. But you still need some level of talent. You still need to be able to run faster than the guy next to you, be stronger than the guy across from you, throw the ball farther than the guy running after it, right? There's still some intangibles you just have to have. Now, I enjoy the chip on the shoulder. I think UCF historically has played from that position and been successful. But I had a boss one time who was a crazy person, but he said something I always agreed with, is hope is not a strategy. I hope that we can do this. That doesn't mean that we can. And so the positioning is familiar and it can feel good to you because, hey, we've been here before and we've shown them that doesn't mean that can happen again. That doesn't mean that, again, if your running back is slower than their linebacker, that's going to be a rough afternoon for UCF. But I think you have to trust that his coaching staff has found the right guys, can put them in the right positions to be successful. I think what's interesting about all of this to me, Trace, is, and even listening to the guys at Varsity Knights, the level of trust that Scott Frost has been given already is pretty telling based on everything else that you know about him, everything that you know about where Gus left this team at, the level of trust people have in Scott Frost to turn it around. And I think Dante said something like he was successful his first time. And I think Carlos McCann said, hopefully he can do it again. He's been given a level of trust that I don't think a lot of coaches would be given walking into this exact same situation. Hopefully that turns out to his favor, but it's interesting to see the amount of people who have some trust in Scott Frost. And again, we have no idea what the team's going to look like when it hits the field, come fall.
Earlier, you ranked offensive line 4th out of 4. I don't know how you based it right exactly, but on the defensive side of the ball, linebackers, where do you have them in the positions on the defensive side of the ball? If you were ranking just based on what you know, based on the changeover in talent, the changeover in coaches, where would you put them?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do what UCF's done. I think D tackles and D ends are separate in terms of the way they're coached, and then obviously the back end secondary as well. So if I look at all that, yeah, they're 4. Because look, the linebacking core for UCF has been much maligned over the past couple of seasons. Again, a revolving door of guys coming in the transfer portal. You have to like some of the names that you see in some of their production. You have to like some of the potential for some of these guys as well. But we've seen this song and dance before about we bring it in linebacker, fill in the name, fill in the blank. Here he has great potential. He has great, production. He's done some great things and hasn't really worked out. So they're last for me at this point until that team, can sort of prove that out. Now it's a new coaching staff. It's a new philosophy. So maybe it's different, but I don't know how you don't rank them last. Secondary is the only other spot maybe you could argue with, but I think they're a firm 4th if you rank the 4 positions on defense.
We dig in a little deeper now with Suns reporter Dwayne Jones.
This spring, new UCF linebackers coach Mark D'Onofrio told us coaching this group has been all about fundamentals. Base, pad levels, and foot placement are just a few things he's trying to fine-tune with his backers. I'm Dwayne Jones with the Sons of UCF, and this offseason, UCF added Virginia Tech transfer Kelly Lawson and Oklahoma transfer Lewis Carter to this linebacker core. Coach D'Onofrio and these Knights are hoping they can be great additions to this group.
Yeah, I want a guy that's really smart, right? And what I mean, he's a smart football player, high football IQ, loud on tape, right? You could see him very animated. He runs the show, he's communicating, he's keeping everybody at ease in terms of the D-line and the back end, right? I want a guy that's tough, both physically and mentally tough, right? You can see him, and I want a guy that plays really hard, that finishes.
My best trait is really just my versatility. Like, I wouldn't say I just excel at one particular thing. I really pride myself on being a Swiss Army knife type of guy. You need me down low, I'm in the trenches. You need me dropping 30 yards, 25 yards back, whatever you need to do. So I can't really pinpoint a big strength that really overwhelms everything else.
I feel like I'm physical, but I can get better with that. I've been getting better with talking with people beside me and stuff like that, my teammates, and just overall, I can say I can get better with just talking to the fronts and just overall controlling the defense. But I feel like I'm very physical.
What have you improved most upon this spring?
Really just knowing my job and being able to anticipate what the offense have coming and stuff like that, and just overall being able to fly around and play ball and just, feel like me.
Just like other groups on this roster, positions on this line are still up for grabs. But Coach D'Onofrio tells us there's plenty of talent in his room, and he plans to have his defensive signal caller come August. I'm Dwayne Jones with the Sons of UCF.
Coach D'Onofrio saying he likes guys that are loud on tape. Are you a guy that's loud on tape?
Quiet on tape. No, really, really quiet on tape. The funny thing about that, I was counting. I counted at least 3 players on that little package that are no longer with UCF that have transferred from the time we shot that video to
in
today.
the video.
In the video itself, yeah, three guys who are participating that are no longer there. So again, it's a position group that's been much maligned over the years, and do they have the right formula? Again, you look at the names, look at the measurables, look at some of the statistics, look at potential. You think you got some guys there. You just saw 2 there. Cole Kozlowski from Colgate, another name we've heard a lot about. So you think you have some players there. UCF just picked up another kid in the portal from Virginia Tech to play linebacker. But till it gets on the field, I don't know that you can really know what you have there. But I think you have some better commodities at other positions on the defense.
How do you assess the influx and the outgoing of the transfer portal? You think UCF finished all right, all things considered, as on the lost side of things?
Yeah, look, I think the guys who left since Frost arrived. So if we're going pre-Frost, or I guess pre-spring and post-spring, look, I think pre-spring, obviously UCF lost some names. Randy Pittman Jr. comes to mind. Some guys you didn't want to lose, right? Post-spring and kind of once that got rolling. Transparently, look, I think there's some guys that we all liked, but I think some of these guys were probably walk-ons, probably going to be buried on the depth chart. I think Chasen Johnson's probably the biggest name that you're going to see UCF lose, that maybe cracked the 2 deep. Andrew Harris was a surprise. Then there's some conversation about where he really fell. So all in all, in this post-Frost, post-spring era, I think UCF did okay in terms of what they lost. I don't think they lost anybody that's really going to cut them deep. Again, perhaps maybe outside of a Chasen Johnson. Although, if I'm being fair, only played 1 season for UCF, so maybe there's still some room there. But I think that's probably the biggest loss from UCF standpoint.
All of the recaps from throughout spring camp you'll find on the Suns YouTube channel, where also you'll find really good story that Andrew Cherico put together. One of the things that I'm most proud of being associated with the Suns is that we make time to cover things like the Varsity Nights Golf Tournament, but also things like Brits Bunch and the different activities that they do. And Andrew had opportunity to cover a partnership between UCF Athletics and a collaboration with the Central Florida Dreamplex. I'm not sure if you've seen it yet on our YouTube channel. Wanted to use this space to showcase how the athletes come together and give opportunity to people to live out their dreams, no matter what challenges they may be facing.
Andrew Cherico here at UCF for the Sons of UCF. Growing up needing to use a wheelchair, I know how it feels to be left out of sporting activities because of your physical ability. Today, Central Florida Dreamplex and UCF Athletics teamed up to make a day adults and kids with disabilities will never forget.
There's no stopping 11-year-old Noah Riley. Since 2017, UCF Athletics and the Central Florida Dreamplex have come together to create unforgettable moments for athletes of all abilities. Using a power chair hasn't stopped Noah from thinking big and living his dreams.
Tackling the dummy.
How much fun do you have playing football here today?
I have a blast. Seeing the weight room.
And how cool was the weight room?
Really cool, really cool.
I think it's very awesome that they even take the time to do this for these kids.
For Amber Wicks and Amir Khan, the struggles of living with a developmental disability are often challenging. But here, surrounded by people who care, smiles happen naturally and friendships develop fast.
I loved it so much, and I really love it, and I'm really good exercising and stuff like that. And pretty much, I came here last year, and I loved it back then too.
You have a lot of fun today?
Yes, we both here.
And then what was your favorite part about today?
Kickball and Gordy and there.
The UCF community loves the experience too.
The joy on their face makes it even better, you know? I've seen handstands, I've seen jumping up and down. It's been a good time. All the dance moves. Yeah.
Central Florida Dreamplex CEO Cameron Gomes says he enjoys partnering with UCF because both the kids and the athletes view each other as superheroes.
You know, they look up to these players. They're obviously physically so much bigger than them, so you know they see them as their superheroes, and they just respond to them so well. It goes both ways. It's just a great afternoon every time.
What starts as a one-day event quickly turns into something deeper. A connection between UCF players and the kids they inspire.
It's a special thing. I mean, you want to give opportunities to the children and the young adults that don't have these opportunities very often. And for their parents, you know, for me, getting to see the parents just enjoy it and the smiles on their faces.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity because, you know, it shows us that, you know, life is, we're blessed with everything that, you know, we've had in our life, and it's good for us to come out here and, you know, give back to the community and really just bring light and joy to kids, and because these kids look up to us as, you know, heroes, and we look up to them as heroes too.
These families have faced challenges that most of us can't even imagine. But on this day, those burdens fade. For an afternoon, all that matters is joy.
All it is about showing that we care here at UCF, and everybody's welcome and everybody's able to do everything that they put in their mind to. Like, all you gotta do is keep going. Nothing is impossible for anybody, no matter what's your disability, no matter what's your background. If you want to do it and you put your mind to it, anything is possible.
For these athletes, families, and volunteers, it's life-changing. This is more than just football. It's about being seen, heard, and celebrated, something these families don't often experience.
A smile on the face, man, that says it all.
I have just been smiling all day. It's just like an overwhelming joy just to see them be able to interact and run around. They just seem like happy, regular kids. Like they're in their own little football world right now, so it's really cool.
It's awesome it's always awesome to be like a person that people look up to and being able to give back to the community. And this is the best example for that.
William Perry, a Dreamplex participant who has an intellectual disability, didn't just come to play, he came to live.
It's nice, it's very sweet, and I love to be here. Thank God and everything. Here, live.
William's sister, Sierra, watched the moment she thought she might never see.
It was really cool. I love these inclusive events that they have, and he had a really good time. And it was also his first year, so I'm sure that we'll be back next year because he enjoyed it so much. It's unexplainable. It's like my heart is bursting with joy because he's so happy, and he'll talk about this forever and ever.
For Noah, his family, and families across Central Florida, bonds being built in just a few hours have created memories that will last for years.
It's amazing seeing how much effort they put into it.
Central Florida Dreamplex and UCF have partnered up numerous times in different sports and activities, creating countless memories like they did here today, where the Dreamplex's #1 mission is inclusivity for everyone. For the Sons of UCF, I'm Andrew Cherico.
Good work there for Mr. Cherico.
Yeah, if you watch that, Trace, it's hard not to hit you in the feels and kind of see what what Andrew put together. And obviously, it's a cause and something that's near and dear to him as well, too. So really well put together. And hats off to to UCF and Dreamplex for putting that on. Such a cool event, and it's great to see. But tip of the cap to Andrew for telling us and sharing that story with all of us.
And for those of you who follow Andrew on social media, Twitter, you know that he has a new opportunity that he is starting covering the Orlando Magic for SI, a big step in his career.
Yeah, I tweeted recently a picture of Nick and Andrew and Dwayne and all the interns, and these kids are going to be a problem, Trace. They're really dedicated to their craft. They're good at what they do. They care about what they do, and to play any little small role in their lives has been an honor for, I think, both of us. And I can't wait to see them be moguls and titans in the media space. And hopefully they'll remember us, Trace. At least return our phone calls, maybe return a text message. I don't know, maybe throw us a bone here and there, but it's awesome to see, and hats off to Andrew for a big opportunity to cover the Magic. This is a big year for the Magic coming up. They've got some talent on the team. Jalen Suggs coming back. There's some free agents out there. Obviously, you thought this team could contend, and so Andrew's in a good spot with the way the Magic are positioned, and I know he'll provide some great coverage for Sports Illustrated.
So good work from Andrew on that story about the Central Florida Dreamplex. Nick Williams, just out of post-game, texts me, very somber post-game from Rich Wallace.
Dreamplex to Nightmareplex, because it was not a good night for UCF baseball.
Night's really to be best positioned. And, I mean, they're going to be scoreboard watching, but if you can't take care of business, I mean, they really need to sweep Baylor. Now, that is off the table. You get to 1 out away, and you can't seal the deal to win the series now. Friday, they're honoring the seniors. Saturday, the game's moved up from 1 to noon, and there's some other things and tiebreakers going on just so they can get into that postseason tournament next week in Texas. I don't know how long the run will be. We debated this on Around the Kingdom. Where do you stand? You'd rather make it than not make it, even if making it, I mean, I guess you have a chance if you make it, but I just don't see this team being deep enough, strong enough to escape and get to an NCAA tournament by winning it all in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, look, you might as well try to make it at this point, right? Like this, I think baseball's in a bit of a different position than basketball and football in terms of kind of retooling and transfer portal and whatnot. So you might as well make it at this point. But this is the lot you cast when you have chances to win games throughout the season, and you can't close games, you can't wrap up opponents, you can't win series. Every week Around the Kingdom, I hear you and Elo say one thing: just win series. And the Knights have not been able to do that consistently enough. And so you put yourself in this position now where you're scoreboard watching, you're kind of living and dying at every pitch. And that's the recipe of a team that was inconsistent all season long. And you make your bed, you lie in it. You hope UCF can figure it out, but you also kind of understand that they're here for no other means than their own inconsistency. And be cool to see them in the tournament, but it's going to take a really big strike of lightning for them to be able to make some noise. And I think we all realize that's probably not in the cards for this Knights baseball team.
Tale of two programs, though, right? From baseball to softball. Softball with its 5th straight NCAA tournament. They finished 12-12 in the Big 12. Things were, a little off for a while, and they rallied down the stretch. They are in the Austin Regional. Friday, they will open with Michigan at 2 o'clock, familiar foe. They played them a couple of years ago in the NCAA tournament. This is a field that also includes Texas, Eastern Illinois. Tough field, tough bracket for UCF. But, hey, 5 straight NCAA tournament appearances. The program that carries the spring, you can have this conversation, probably the best coach in Cindy Ball Malone on the campus, right? This is a consistent program. And I think what may get lost a little bit is that, like the other programs, they've transitioned to the Big 12 by scheduling as they have every year. Very tough. They had 10, 11 seniors change over. They had a young team, but they've figured out how to do it. And I think that's a testament to the players and certainly to head coach Cindy Ball Malone and her staff.
Yeah, look, if I've been critical of Johnny Dawkins, it's for one thing, roster construction, putting together a team that fits, that answers all the needs that you have. And you cannot question Cindy Ball Malone the way that she's done that these last couple of seasons, either transfers she's brought in, recruits, some folks she's redshirted strategically, right? She's done a great job of understanding her roster and putting together a total team that's able to compete. Maybe not going after the biggest name or the biggest bat out there, but really what fits her system. And you got to applaud her for sticking to her guns and doing a great job with recruiting, doing a great job with development, and just assessing her program and what they need. 5 straight NCAA tournament appearances. Has that happened? I mean, is that the longest stretch for any UCF sport? Is Eric Lopez watching? I feel like is that a record?
I think there's some other sports that I think women's soccer had a stretch of like 9.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. And golf right now is at 5 or 6, right? Women's
Fair.
golf.
Okay.
Well, media availability earlier in the week with head coach Cindy Ball Malone, pitcher Caitlin Felton. Let's hear some sound from them.
There's so many moments in the season where I've been so proud of them. And then there's been other moments where I'm like, what did we just do? And I say that knowing that these women have worked so hard to be in this position. They've completely bought in. But, rewind just to last year, and we graduated 11 seniors that had huge impact in our program. And so when you think about graduating that many people, that many impact players, and then having a brand new team, it can be a little unsettling. But this group is, they enjoy it, they get after it, they learn and they get better. And so I'm incredibly proud of them. They deserve this. And I'm excited to keep seeing them grow. And I think the best is yet to come.
I think it's super exciting. A lot of us had a lot of guesses where we could possibly go. And I mean, we were ready if Tallahassee was getting called for the 3rd year in a row, but I think a lot of the girls were hoping to travel and go somewhere different. So it was just super exciting to hear our name get called at Texas, especially after playing them last year. They're a great team. So we're just really looking forward and excited to compete because it's a really good regional.
What do you think of that going out of state and not at Tallahassee, not in Gainesville, but in Austin?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? It's typically been, the teams in Florida kind of stay in some sort of a southern region, maybe South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia included in that. So interesting to go to Texas. I think Cindy Ball Malone said it best, like, wherever we are, whoever we play, we know what we have to do. So would it be great to take a bus or a car versus a plane? Yeah, probably. But again, I think you got to give this team a fighting chance. They've scrapped together. They've clawed together all season long. They found ways to win when it didn't look like they could. We all remember the game where they come back from a 12-run deficit or a 13-run deficit to win. So who cares where it's at this point, right? I think that's the right mentality to have. But it did take me a minute to be like, don't they always play these in Florida? Like I thought these were always close. But let's go out there and we beat Michigan before. Maybe that can happen again. You never know.
Yeah, no matter the outcome, I think they should help hold their heads high. It was a successful season for the Knights, and they have a chance there in Austin to advance. So good luck to UCF. Sports year winding down now, you see, with the NCAA tournament appearances by softball and some of the other sports. Let's go around the Big 12 with Jeff Allen.
The NCAA tournament gets underway in softball tomorrow. Here's how the schedule looks for the 5 Big 12 teams that made the field. UCF faces Michigan in the Austin Regional at 2 o'clock on ESPN2. Oklahoma State takes on Indiana in the Fayetteville Regional. That'll be at 4 o'clock on ESPN2. Texas Tech hosts Brown in the Lubbock Regional at 5:30 on ESPN+. Arizona hosts Santa Clara in the Tucson Regional at 7:30 on ESPN+. And in the Los Angeles Regional, Arizona State battles San Diego State at 10 p.m. on ESPN2. On the baseball diamond, it's the final weekend of the regular season. West Virginia has a 2-game lead over Arizona State. The Mountaineers host Kansas, and the Sun Devils match up with Oklahoma State. The top 12 make the conference tournament, with UCF currently sitting on the 12th seed going into this weekend's matchup with Baylor. With your Big 12 Minutes, I'm Jeff Allen.
Yeah, hanging on to 12. Christian and Bailey back with the Pegasus podcast this week, assessing quarterback play in the Big 12. I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest maybe they don't have Taven Jackson or Cam Fancher or Jakari Brown ranked amongst the best of quarterbacks in the Big 12. But you've got the quote of the week. Is it compelling? I feel, I got to tell you, I feel
There's
playing
something
house money now because I'm on a run, but I feel a little pressure now. I don't know what the psychology is here. And to be honest with you, since we've been 2 weeks between shows, I don't remember who I picked the last time. Dwayne asked me something this week. He says, "Do you remember something about spring camp?" I go, "I don't remember anything about spring camp. It's all like dandelion sports. Poof, I don't remember. It's out of my brain." So I don't know who said what last. I felt a little pressure going in as the weeks built, but now I don't remember.
I'm confused. Is something on the Pegasus podcast not compelling, Trace? I think everything that they do is compelling, including this quote by one of the hosts. Quote, "I'm just here to offer possibilities. I never pretend like I know anything."
Well, it could really be both.
I'm just here to offer possibilities. I never pretend I know anything.
Pure guess on my part. I don't know. I'm going to say Bailey this week.
I'm just here to offer possibilities. I never pretend like I know anything, I don't think.
It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
You're gonna accuse me
There's
of
no
cheating again.
chance that this is not performance enhancing. I don't know what's happening here.
What would be?
I don't know. You listen in advance. Actually, you know what?
But even if I listened in advance, how would I remember a
Listen.
60-minute show?
This is me realizing I may be a dumbass. You have access to our Twitter now. You could see these DMs from Christian that have the quotes in there.
But I've told you I don't look in.
I'm just saying.
I don't look in the DMs.
All of a sudden, now some things are coming to you. You could see what is said here in the DM. I think I need an independent investigator.
Okay, so now if Christian or Bailey transmit this information electronically via email, and then I get one wrong, then this will.
I need an independent investigation. I need fire up somebody here. I need our good friends at Werner Hoffman, Greg and Garcia. 70 years of experience in the law industry. I need them to conduct a full-scale investigation on whether or not you've been performance enhancing or you have some way of knowing this, because this is just unbelievable.
I said at the outset, I got a 50-50 on this one, and I'm just guessing.
I don't know. It's a likely story from somebody who did something wrong. That's all I'm saying.
The key is you should listen and give a watch to the Pegasus podcast right now on the Suns YouTube channel. Time for some news and notes.
Hi, this is Adam's grandma, and let's go around the kingdom.
Oh, that's
There's Graham.
tremendous.
There's Graham. Yes.
That's my new favorite one.
Biggest fan of the show, Trace. Every week she watches on Friday because she's already asleep. She goes to bed early. She's here in town with us this weekend for Addison's graduation. Her health hasn't been great, but she loves the show. And every Friday she calls me. I get a page full of notes on what we should do differently. She's the actual executive producer of this show, not you and I. I know you and I think we run the show. No. Graham does, and so she wants to make her appearance. She's already asleep though, so that wasn't going to happen. So we recorded that in advance.
Oh, I love that. That is my new favorite. That is tremendous. Thank her for being a part of the show. I'd like to know about these notes that she's writing. She's the one initiating the investigation and the correct guesses.
She might, if I need her to. She actually probably could run this for us, and I think she'd have you in a pretzel in no time, Trelko. She'd have you with a heat lamp and a phone book, and she would have you confessing all kinds of things.
A phone booth?
Phone book.
Yeah,
it doesn't leave a mark. I've heard.
Yeah. All right. Track and field, good luck to them. Big 12 Outdoor Championship in Lawrence, Kansas. Rowing as well, good luck. 15th ranked rowing in the Big 12 Championship in Sarasota. So kind of home. Boat, water advantage.
Is there home lake advantage? Is there a home lake? Like, do you know the water better? I don't know. Maybe there is. I don't know.
Is it different kind of water? Men's tennis, the 15th ranked Knights fell to number 2 TCU in the NCAA tournament, but still a great year for men's tennis. Women's golf finished 7th in the NCAA Charlottesville regional. So another good year for head coach Emily Marin and the women's golf team. Back at it this week, Eric Lopez and I chopping it up on Around the Kingdom.
They should get over him. Get over it. Move on. Go support Matt Rule and play, that meeting, that exciting Big Ten football, whatever. Who cares? You guys had your time with him. I don't think you treated him as well as you should have, to some extent. And they should just just hope he does well. I don't see any. Why should there be any ill will? I don't understand that from a Nebraska standpoint. Hey, Nebraska! I don't know if you've noticed, you haven't won squat since '95, and I'm cleaning the language so Adam doesn't have to like do extra work. Trust me, I'm sick of Nebraska fans. I can tell you that. I don't want the most irrelevant, overrated fan base in college football. Nebraska.
However, I disagree with Elo in that Nebraska fans are tremendous for engagement on any Suns show.
Listen, I can't wait to see what happens when this gets. If people found this yet in Nebraska, I don't know yet.
There's a comment on the YouTube channel from a Nebraska fan,
but it wasn't bad. It was positive-ish.
Yeah, but I think you need to change the headlines and just say Nebraska. Big.
They didn't appreciate him. You want me to? You're irrelevant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who was it that I was listening to? I was listening to some podcast, and they were talking about how they're pretty straight. It's a political show, and they're talking about they're pretty straight down the line, but that they write provocative headlines because they need to get people to listen. So if you just judge the impartiality based on the headline, so I think you need to go full bore into Nebraska needs to be in the headline. Expansion.
I just can't be that
realignment.
Guy. I hate clickbait. I just can't do clickbait. But what I love about Elo is like he starts off kind of low.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he crescendos to they're the most irrelevant team of all time. He just crescendo. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happens there.
Around the kingdom right now on Suns YouTube. It's that time of week when we open the mailbag.
So it's a mailbag. So what?
So what? Do you know whose mailbag that is?
It's that time again. Time to open the Brian W. Peterson Sons of UCF mailbag.
I'll tell you, I copy these over into our rundown, and I think about them. I did not think about them since I copied them in, so I'm ill prepared.
Also, first time I'm reading them as well. So you and I are in the same boat. I've had this rundown.
It's been a busy week.
For about 12 hours, I've had this rundown, and this is the first time I've actually looked at these questions.
I realized as the open was rolling that I failed. You're not coming up, right? You got graduation, but Brian's coming up for the yard sale in the arena. A friend of mine said, "Do you want to go?" And I hadn't planned on going, but I might go now. I'm not going to bring any money. I don't want to spend any money.
That's unhelpful. There was a moment in time, Trace, where I wondered if I could just watch the live stream of my daughter's graduation from the yard sale line. I thought that's a bridge too far.
Son was in on that.
It may have been a bridge too far, and so I never approached it with the family. But for a second, I was like, you know what? I could see it on TV. It's all the same. I'll be back.
Have you floated that to your wife just for fun?
I think she heard it from the other room, so we'll see. I don't see a reaction coming just yet, but I've not floated that, and no, I would not miss that. But I do. I love that UCF does this. There's a lot of cool stuff. I think it's available. But I'm the kind of like I would want to go for the more unique, the more kind of like random stuff. Like the football jerseys are great, but like throw me a soccer jersey. Throw me a.
So if I go,
throw me something unique.
And I see a soccer jersey, you want me to get it for you?
Well, we can talk. Yeah, if it's the right size. I mean, listen, your boy's not wearing a medium anytime soon. But
that's every soccer player's a medium.
That's the problem. So if you see something that's available to me, like hit me up on DM. I'll be available.
So you have to wear it. You wouldn't want it just to have. You want to be able to wear the soccer jersey.
Yeah, I would wear it. Yeah, I don't think I would hang it up because I don't even. Do they have soccer jerseys? Are unlike football. Although I don't know what these jerseys are like, so I've never been there. So somebody keep me honest. Like if you buy a number 7 jersey, does it say Harvey on the back or is it just a 7?
I don't remember.
I think it's just a 7. I don't know that the name is attached.
I don't remember. Yeah, that's a Christian Simmons question.
And so with soccer, like you don't know whose number is whose, and so I'd be comfortable wearing a sock. I did like there was the space auction. They had some nice Space U and Citronaut baseball jerseys. I like those a lot. I think that's another cool addition, a cool piece. So I'd be in for more of the unique. You can't find these anywhere type of stuff.
I'll try and remember to look for soccer jerseys though.
Let me know what you got.
It needs to be at least a large.
At least a large. Yeah, and those run small too, so you may want to,
There's just no way there's soccer jerseys.
I know, that's the problem.
I mean, no pads and
no pads, no.
At 2 letters, 2 words, Robert, would Trace accept a charity challenge that involved eating a rack of ribs with his hands? Trace would not.
Wow.
That's no.
None?
I would give money to a charity not to do it.
Wow. To be fair, I'm not a fan of ribs. I feel like the work to food proportion is just not fair.
You like wings?
I do
Problem.
yeah, same problem. Yeah, that's a fair point. Like I think the food to mess distribution ratio is just not aligned with me.
Yeah, no, I tried. I can't do it again. It's not worth it to me. That's a big no.
You tried once? You did try ribs once?
Robert, are you watching? I tried with a fork and a knife. It did not go well. Try to scrape the meat off the rib. It didn't go well.
Okay.
At @BlackGold_, that is Cindy Ball Malone, the best coach UCF has. Yep. And they need to figure out how to hang on to her. Somebody's coming.
The better question is who's second? The better question. I mean, I think it's hands down Cindy Ball. Who's second? Who's the second best coach on UCF campus?
I think they're contenders for that. I mean, again, this is a successful spring for several sports. It's just not as much a spectator sport, so it's harder for us to evaluate. So I'd say yes to that. At the JC Morning, in the spirit of the yard sale, if you could have any piece of UCF memorabilia, what would it be? So what's the ultimate?
Ooh, I mean, that's the thing here, right? So if I could get... I would want more retro stuff. If I could get a jersey or something football related from like the 95 to like 99 era, I think that would be cool. I have a Dante jersey that used to be hung up behind me in some of the shows, no longer there. I would want something more retro. My son's room, actually. He commandeered it for a football theme he was doing there. So I would go something kind of late 90s jersey rise. I love the pattern on the sleeves and the Lance logo. I think that's what I'd want.
JC Morning has another question. Terry, is he getting extended? Not much time left on his contract. And it is interesting how quiet that topic is.
Yeah, I think you and I've been poking around a little bit to see what we can find out here. Obviously, no information has been released yet, but you would think at some point this conversation has to sort of get itself into the ether, and we have not heard anything yet. So it is a really curious question to see if that extension comes, what's it look like. But as of now, it has been crickets on that front.
At UCF_Zach, favorite non-UCF related podcast that you listen to? What's your podcast consumption outside of the various UCF sports themes?
I'm a long form interview guy. That's kind of what I enjoy. And so I will typically this is probably not up your alley per se, but Udonis Haslam and Mike Miller have a podcast called The OGs, where they interview a lot of former basketball players. And obviously, as a Heat fan, they've had Dwayne Wade, Alonzo Mourning, Norris Cole. They've had some guys from that era. And so I love listening to the stories behind the scenes of practice before and what happened after a game. So those are more of the style I go for. I mean, every now and again, I'll listen to some funny or reverent type stuff, but I really like to sink my teeth into kind of a long form interview and learn some stuff behind the scenes about some people that I know and some things that I don't know.
I listen to a couple of sports media podcasts. I know you, Jeff
Richard
Allen,
Deitch,
has come together. Richard Deitch is one that I listen to. I like those interviews. I'm a big Seinfeld fan, as you know, so I like the Julia Louis-Dreyfus podcast. She's interviewing older women in various fields, athletes, actors. She had Carol Burnett on, who's 90 years young. And so I've enjoyed listening to her have those conversations. Big Curb Your Enthusiasm fan. So there's a podcast with Jeff and Susie, and they go back and they review the episodes and they talk about those. So those are a couple of mine. And I like all the newsy ones. So a lot of political ones as well. When I get time to drive around and listen. At Riley Carey 16, what does Jordan Hudson see in Belichick? Now, cynically, we could say money.
That's a great question. This is a fascinating topic to me because it's Belichick is somebody who was just revered for wanting control, wanting power, no distractions. Famously wouldn't let Tom Brady's trainer in the facility at New England because there was a distraction. And yet his tenure at North Carolina has been nothing but distractions and nothing but just outside noise. Perhaps it's not noise to him or to them, but it is to the rest of the public. And for a man who was pretty buttoned up and pretty stoic in his demeanor to have some of this stuff attached to him, it's just fascinating. It's just fascinating the balance of ego, power, who's in control, who's not in control, and say what you want about it. His lady friend here, I don't even care about the age.
Lady friend?
I don't know what to call it. Lady friend. I don't care about the age. It's if she's PR person She's just not good at
Terrible.
that job. And that's what's fascinating is just the people he's now surrounded himself to trust in. I shared this on Around the Kingdom, and Pablo Torre, I listen to his podcast sometimes. Pablo Torre finds out. June 1st, Belichick's buyout goes from 10 million to 1 million. I don't know what happens there, but Trace, does he coach a game in North Carolina? Call it now. You got to be right. Okay, I agree.
Yeah, North Carolina is not going to implode their season over.
Do you think if you
lady friend?
Do you think if you gave them a do-over, they would do the same? They would hire him all over?
I still don't understand why. Yeah, maybe.
I
They'd
don't
have
know.
gone for Scott Frost if they knew he was in the market.
That's fair. That's fair. He builds that culture.
Only at UCF.
Only
at Rejoice Nights. Who has a better football season coming up, offense or defense? Coin flip. I don't know.
I mean,
defense was stronger, right? For a stretch there under Scott Frost 1.0.
Defense has, again, earlier I railed against returners as a metric. Defense has more returners, although a new system. Frost has always kind of cut his teeth on offense, but that 2016 team, we forget that was not the most beautifully put together offensive system we've ever seen. So I think we're probably in for a season like that, and the defense has to come up and make a couple of plays here and there.
6 wins or bust gets you a 6th year. Scott
Birmingham Bowl, baby.
Yeah, Lonely B UCF. Will RJ Harvey win his first MVP this year or next?
I'll go next.
I like the optimism.
I'll go next.
Maybe not this year.
Let him get a season under his belt.
I haven't studied this. I have a family out in Colorado, the Denver area. If it times out right, maybe I try and get a credential.
I love this.
RJ
I love this
Harvey
idea.
In Denver. Are they playing in Jacksonville or Tampa? I'll have to look that up. That might
I'm
be
going
something.
to need somebody to research that. One thing I love about Denver, one thing I love about you being in Denver is our Twitter algorithm was just nothing but Denver Broncos for an entire weekend while you were there. I don't know if you see the same thing I see. I had like 95 RJ Harvey stories, and I was like, how does this happen to me? And then it was like, oh, yeah, Trace is in Denver, and so that's picking up the Denver. Now, it was cool to see, but I was kind of like, who the hell are these people? Why are they on my Twitter
You
feed?
also get a lot of Colorado Rockies and Denver
I
Nuggets.
saw some Rocky stuff. Yeah, Bud Black, rest in peace. Who knew he got fired? I didn't even know. I didn't know they were that bad until I saw that. But
This
yeah, it's
Jokic-
interesting.
This Jokic for Denver is the most, and he doesn't look like he plays basketball. He's the most.
Don't call him Jokic. It's Jokic. And yes, he does look like he should be riding a horse.
I had that in my brain because when they blew it the last game, I texted my nephew, joke.
They're playing right now, I think, right? I don't know.
Yeah,
the
they're
score off
down.
my
They're
head.
down at the half, I think. They're down at the half. At UCF Knights win, UCF show/podcast flag football game to fill some time during the slow days of summer. Can we make it happen? With all the different shows, there'd be enough for 7-on-7. Need some film to break down. Let's put you in this game. What position do you want?
Ooh, I'd like to be the quarterback. I wouldn't say I have the strongest arm. I'd like to be the quarterback. I think I can make quick decisions on the fly. I got to hit the buttons all the time. I wouldn't mind being a receiver. I can probably handle that. I don't want to play defense because God forbid, like Christian Simmons catches the ball over me, and I got to hear from. I don't need that in my life. So keep me on offense.
What do you think of Simmons and Bailey? Who's the better player there? Bailey.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. I
think Christian's taller, right?
Yeah.
He can like moss people, like catch the ball over somebody's head.
I think Bailey's more physical. Who do you want on your 7?
If we're playing flag football, physicality is not necessarily as much as a thing. You need speed, you need agility. Am I picking anybody?
No, we'll exclude the other shows. Who are you picking from the Suns grouping? And you can include Brian in there and Dolly. And
I feel like Nick Williams has some athleticism to him.
Yeah.
Give me Matt Turman. He's young. He seems spry.
So we're going to go young.
I'm going youth. The youth movement here.
You've seen Andrew Gregg's speed. He's won 2 times.
Great call. Great call.
Competition.
But can he catch?
He can catch enough.
I mean, Willie Galt was fast. They never got a damn thing in the NFL. Can he catch? I don't know. That's all I'm saying. Apparently they do play. Jackson, all right, December 21st. Ooh, problem is my anniversary is the day before that. I think I can get away with that.
That's a tough time. But,
yeah. It's great. Is Brian Peterson the last pick?
Well, I think. Well, it's your pick. I asked you.
I mean, I need to draft here. I can't just. I mean, I need to know where value. I need what you have. I need to look across the board. We need to do a fantasy draft. Next week's show.
About anybody's fantasy draft, they certainly don't want to.
Next week's show, we are fantasy drafting
Are
podcast.
we doing just the Suns team, or are we plucking people off these other?
Let me quote Trace Trelka from a minute ago when he said, "Just pick our group." So that's my answer.
Yeah, that last pick thing. See, I'd be worried about that being an ageism thing. And happy birthday to Brian Peterson, who just celebrated a birthday.
There you go, Brian.
A week or thereabouts. Yeah, I like that question. What? What? Oh, I didn't. What is this? What did I say?
I don't know. You said something about a podcast with old women. I think it's what you said. Julie Dreyfus. Yeah.
All right, then.
Yeah.
At Dolly _drama, what one piece of advice would you offer to new graduates this spring? Have you written the card to your daughter? Have you put all the
I have not
words of wisdom yet? You're not just going in there and signing your name, are you? You're gonna write a little something.
I have not. My advice would be humble.
Be humble.
You're going to get some offers your way that maybe aren't going to be exactly what you want and exactly what you need, but what you're missing out on is the experience you may get from some of those offers and what you get. So I think sometimes I used to be heavy into college recruiting when I was at another company. That was part of my role. And the amount of people who came up to me and said, "I'm not taking a job for less than $100K out of college." And I was like, awesome. You want to go turn around that way and go over there because those jobs aren't over here. And so I think be humble, be open to some opportunities, but really figure out quickly what you want to do and get there fast because you're going to do it for a long time. So figure out what that thing is and find it and go for it.
My advice, and I gave some to my nephew recently, it's just develop your network. That has been key to me throughout my career is the networking and the opportunities of who you meet along the way. So develop your network. Good advice for the grads this spring. And that is this week's mailbag. And now the 1 minute segment that we had.
We may be in Studio B tonight, Trace, but the box travels with me.
I didn't even really notice you were in a different room.
I'm in a different room. The box travels with me no matter where we go. This is brought to you by our good friends at Alumni Hall. New polos are available soon. 2 for $38 t-shirts by Champion, some other great brands. Check them out, alumnihall.com/UCF.
I need to get there again, but that involves spending money.
Yeah, you're going to need to bring some cash to that particular endeavor here. All right, I don't like that question. We're going to put that one back.
Oh, which means I'm not going to like it.
No, because that one, I think we talked about that one recently. This is it. This is the question that's been in this box that I have been waiting for the entire time. No, this is
all right. Thanks everybody for joining us.
No. This will not embarrass you. This is going to really divide people along a really strict line. Would you rather be trapped in an elevator with UCF Mike or JP Gilbert?
Oh, easy. JP Gilbert.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we could talk for hours. Oh, yeah. No, I like Mike and all, but 20 minutes.
I mean, what does that mean? What do you mean?
I think he'd wear on me.
JP Gilbert?
You've been around. No. JP and I would have plenty to talk about. Politics.
You find yourself, you were famously one who once muted JP Gilbert's Twitter because he had gotten
1 week. Yeah, he really 1 week he irritated.
And so you think in an elevator, you can't mute him in the elevator unless you're going to knock him out.
I got over that.
Okay.
What's your answer? You've known Mike?
That's a great question. No, I when I wrote this, I thought about this as I wrote it. So I have known Mike, obviously, I was doing the math recently. We met in freshman year of college. So Mike and I are coming on
30 years.
Almost 30 years of knowing UCF Mike. And so here's the thing. That's a great question by Troy. Here's the thing. Mike and I probably get in the elevator and we recount stories from college, from high school, and with movies we used to like, yada yada yada. And so it would just be like Mike and I hanging out, almost like a podcast we used to do, frankly. So it'd almost be like that. I don't know JP as well as I know Mike. I know him a little bit. We've spent some time together. So I think I would take the opportunity to learn more about JP because I don't know as much about JP.
Sounds like a flash poll.
As I know about Mike. I know enough about Mike already. I see his Twitter account. I know what he's in. I mean, I know the same movies he quotes. So I think I would go. I think I would go JP. It's a fair assumption by Lonely Bumblebee Mario. Mike would be sweatier.
I don't know. I don't know what Lonely Bumblebee.
Mike might be no.
Is
Mike sweatier?
I don't.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Matt best.
Matt Dolan, no shirt on for Mike. That's a guarantee. At some point, you got to contend with that. Wow, I think JP Gilbert's going to be stunned when he wakes up tomorrow and listens to this that you selected him without hesitation.
Yeah, no hesitation. Not being on Twitter anymore under my profile because of Elmo and his faulty app. I miss speaking with some people, I've found. And I spoke more with JP. I think maybe I have him in my phone. Maybe I should text him. Maybe I should talk. See, this will be good. When we're trapped in the elevator, we'll catch up.
I need to see the Trace Trelko and JP Gilbert text thread.
Yeah, what
is that about?
I don't know. I get confused between the texting and the DMing on the Twitter. I don't know which one I do.
It's not hard, actually.
Well, I just don't remember who I talked to where. That's all.
Do you have Mike's phone number? Could you text Mike right? He's not awake, I don't think. But could you text Mike right now if you wanted to?
Yeah, I think he's in there. No, this is fascinating.
If you had to say Mike, this is also, I mean, this is a morbid question.
I have him in my phone, I wonder. Do I have him as UCF? Yeah, I have him as UCF Mike.
What else did you have him as? What, have you ever texted
I just had him as Mike.
Has there been is there ever any text history there?
Well, let's check.
If so, read me the last text between you and UCF Mike.
Let's check. Do you want his statement and then mine?
Yes, the last.
This is Mike. Good to see you for a few minutes. Back on the train.
That could mean so many things. I don't even know. There's so many options available to me.
And he texted me a picture of him holding a beer.
Wow, famously, Mike has now eschewed any alcoholic beverages. Robert's asking us to call Mike live now. I see he has his notifications silenced on social or on text right now, so I assume he may be sleeping.
Yeah, it does not appear that I have JP Gilbert in my contacts. I have Jay Bergman. There's Jay Bergman. Not JP Gilbert.
Would you rather be stuck in an elevator with Jay Bergman or George O'Leary?
Oh, man. Whew. Oh.
It does not, Mario, but it's a fair question. It's an untimely question based on.
I don't know what that means.
No,
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Goodness, I don't know.
Jay Bergman or George O'Leary in an elevator?
How long are we in the elevator?
47 minutes.
40. Oh.
No air conditioning. It's hot in there.
I'm going to go George O'Leary because we recently spoke with Jay Bergman. So I feel like, and I saw him at the stadium this season. So
yeah.
I'd go George.
More of a football guy, so I'd probably go George. I'd probably understand those stories better than some of the old school baseball stories from Bergman.
Yeah. All right. Let's put a wrap on this one. I want to thank Nick Williams for joining us from John Yuliano Park to detail the Knights' late loss to Baylor that has set the weekend off. What is this now? God, this show is jumped the shark. For Adam Eaton, I'm Trace Trelko. Go Knights.
Charge on.
I'm John Rice Plumley. Thanks for watching the Sons of UCF.
Well, we can talk to Jake about that.
Just when you thought it went on. See, you'd have content for days. His shirt would